Going in to see Longlegs, I was really hyped. There was a lot of hype around this. People were saying it was the scariest movie they've ever seen, scariest movie of the decade, stuff of that nature. And while it isn't the scariest thing I've ever seen, it's definitely the best horror movie I've seen since Hereditary, probably. I can't think of anything that's come out recently that's as good. There's been a lot of mid to bad horror movies, in all honesty. Especially 2024. You got terrible movies like Tarot's come out. You've got like okay movies like Immaculate, but nothing as good as Longlegs. The first thing you really notice about this movie is, the atmosphere. It constantly feels like you're walking around in a dark room, or like you're walking through a power outage and you just don't know who might be there. You get that feeling the whole time. I was kind of always looking around the theater, looking in the corners of the screens. It was genuinely so unnerving all the time, especially that third act. Like, I remember my theater, when things were on the screen, they'd freak out. You'd hear people going, "Oh my God, Jesus!" And people were scared. I mean, I wouldn't say terrified, but people were engaged and unnerved regularly. And I think that's also partially because of how great Nicolas Cage was throughout this whole thing. Your first look at Nicolas Cage is really terrifying in this movie, and I think that's partially because of the framing. You never really get to see a great look at him. It's always slightly off. You only see the bottom half of his face in the first kind of look at him until, very later into the movie you get a clear look at him. And I'm not going to spoil how you get a clear look at him, but it's like he never looks right. He's always framed odd. It always looks so inhuman. He is terrifying. And on top of that, his manner of speaking, the way he moves his hands, it's just so unnatural. And he comes off just terrifying 90% of the time. He did some great work with this, and I absolutely loved his performance the entire time. But he wasn't the only one with a really great performance. I thought Micah Monroe, who played Agent Lee Harker, was also phenomenal. She kind of always carried this really awkward energy that I think made things a lot more scary, because just even like the talks on the phone with her mom, or the way she handled talking to her boss's kid, she just seemed so uncomfortable that when she was actually in an uncomfortable situation, things were ramped up, 120%. Just because her social skills seemed so off, just everything felt wrong. And I mean that in the right way. Like, everything was just uncomfortable. The movie is set in 3 distinct chapters, literally broken up by a reading of the chapter. Like, I think the first one's called His Letters and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to spoil. But, yeah, and each chapter progressively kind of ramps up and gets you more and more in that uncomfortable feeling, to the point where that third chapter, my theater was freaking out. And I just remember, like, me and my friend looking over each other going, like, oh my God, there's no way he's going to do this. And it's crazy, because also the movie doesn't just come to a complete end. It literally just stops. It leaves you at probably the highest moment and just drops. And I love that, because I remember driving home the whole time being like, wow, like, what just happened? Like, it sticks with you for like a good another hour after. And even like now, I'm still looking back at it, be like, I can't believe it. That's how they ended it. I'm also kind of looking back at it and wishing they probably gave it a little more runtime and talked about the case more, kind of showed you how they reach conclusions. They do kind of early on tell you that the Lee character is like half psyche or something, but even then, I just kind of wish you knew why she was getting the conclusions she got. Like, they make sense, and the story's fine. I still loved it, and I mean, I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd. I never do that, but I feel like it would have been nice to get more in the true crime aspect, seeing where the investigators were coming from. But I honestly do feel like that is kind of nitpicky, because the movie's not really about the FBI finding this guy. It's more about the connection between Lee and Longlegs. But still, I don't know. That's probably the only thing I would change about it, is that. Because everything else is just perfect. I sat here for a good probably 5 minutes with my friend trying to think of a critique for it, and we were both like, it just feels like the perfect horror movie. Like, I can't think of any horror movie as good as it since literally Hereditary. Like, horror's been in a drought, and this movie, I think it fixes it. The one thing I did forget to talk about is just how good it looks. The cinematography is great. The aesthetics of the movie are beautiful. Like, I don't, beautiful is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. It looks good because it's pretty terrifying and nerve-wracking. And every shot is very widespread. You know, you're kind of getting a background the whole time that looks ginormous, but it's also kind of fuzzy, so you're kind of always checking the back, kind of like how it felt to watch Skinamarink, if you've ever seen that. You know, you're like looking at the wall for so long, you're like, is that someone? I can't tell. And I mean, it never is, but until it is, I guess. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, I like how this thing looks, I like how it feels, I like the performances, everything about it just really hit for me, and I can't recommend it enough to people, especially to see it in theaters, because seeing it in theaters on that screen was really sick. Yeah, it's my first review, I guess. If you enjoyed listening to me talk for like 7 minutes straight, let me know. I'll do more of these. Probably do one talking about the new The Boys season, maybe one about Maxine, some other random movies I saw, probably some 2024 movies. I don't know, just movies I like. Thanks for watching. Go follow me on Instagram, Letterboxd, support my music, please. Thank you. Bye.